over the years, robots have had a tough road put in front of them because of all the things that we've seen going wrong. At the same time, we've seen a lot of things go right for them as well. Now, even though this future is not upon us right now, robots have not been what they've been in the past. They're much easier to set up. They are productive almost as soon as they get onto your manufacturing floor. They're easier to program, and they're cheaper to buy. One of the things that we want to look at today was the problems that we've seen with your manufacturing process, and how AI Consulting, our consulting group, can actually get you to the future that you're seeing for yourself. So let's go ahead and look at the most prominent problems that we've seen on your sales floor, or your manufacturing floor right now. So originally you brought us in for sales training and sales process. That's not your problem. It's actually in productivity. Your people are not able to make the same product at the same cost that you can make overseas or at other manufacturers locally that are using robotics currently. And that's a problem that you're going to be running into consistently from here on out if you stay away from it. There's a couple of things we want to look at overall as to why you're overspending, where the money's getting gushed in, and why those bids are getting higher and higher because you're spending money that you don't need to. First one here is your injuries. You're spending millions of dollars per month and you're okay with it. We're not. And there's things here that can be easily avoided, but you have not even gone to make the proper changes to protect your workforce. Make it even easier, if we replace them with robots, they will not be able to harm each other. And if you wanted to make a look at the transition, which we came able to design, you can keep some of your people here. If we work with a cobot and human workforce, there are cobots out there that actually will be able to work with them as well. We'll talk about that here in a second. Monotonous work is the second thing that we noticed. There's a lot of people that are just getting lazy. Right after noon and a few hours into work, people slow down immensely. After work, after your lunchtime, you have a 30% decrease in productivity, and your failure rate goes up by 25% during that time period as well. Those need to change, and they need to change now. Robots can change them for you. Turnover in training is something that we constantly see. You always have your best people off the production line training these new people. Your human resources department's always tied up, constantly with that, dealing with the background checks and interviewing. And all that money can be spent on the line itself if you kept your human workforce there and kept them consistent. But again, robots, they're not going to really ever quit on you. They might break on you, yes, but we can easily repair them, get them back up and running, and get them back on the line. One of the challenges we saw was layoffs. If this happens to a full robotic program, 10,000 people will lose their jobs. Okay? Or will they? We might be able to find ways to bring them back. Robots themselves are going to need human counterparts. Who's going to fix them? Who's going to buy their parts? Who's going to buy the crude parts that they're going to need to build whatever it is that we need to be building for these bids? You know, think about these things. So let's go and look at these questions more in detail and look at how robotics can actually fix these problems for us. So 0.35 is a very low number. It doesn't look like much, but when you think about this, Thomas Black and Bloomberg actually stated that this is the same number that the steam engine produced when it was introduced into factories, and it's the same number that robots are now impacting as well. So as you look at that, we're on another industrial revolution. This is something that we're now behind on in your factory, and we need to be moving with. And if this isn't impactful enough to make you want to join, these other points hopefully will. So robotics are also safer than ever before. When we talked about you overspending on your OGIs, robots can cut that down. Again, here as you see, this is one of the cobots, and if you wanted to have them work together with a human being, according to the article, The Advantages and Disadvantages of Automating with Industrial Robots, these newer machines are actually much safer because they no longer need to be caged. They have better software, they have emergency stop procedures, better programming. Some of these actually have like virtual eyes and cameras that they can actually see if a human's close to them, and they will stop doing what they're doing. That could challenge their productivity, but we can look at both options with a human workforce or complete robotic and see what works best for the facility. Now, robots is a constant and consistent workforce, so you're funneling money into employment all the time. You won't have to with robots. You buy them once, you buy the continual parts and pay for maintenance and things of that nature, and they will continue to work for you as long as you tell them to work until the time period that you turn them off at night. The initial setup cost for one of these is about $25,000, including the parts plus labor and things of that nature, according to Bloomberg. And they'll probably pay that off within the same year if we do it at the beginning of the year. Now, I know the workforce, the American workforce was important to you. I know you didn't want to lose your people. Now, Thomas Black also stated in his Bloomberg article that he found a Boston consulting group that was in Germany and analyzed all the data there when robotics first came out. 610,000 jobs were lost. 960,000 jobs were created because of the robots, because of what they needed, the manufacturing for their parts, the ordering of their parts, the maintenance, the programming. All these things are still going to be needed to be done by the human entity. Now, Anita Hauser said in another article called The Rise of the Machines, is that it's not really different than the Industrial Revolution, right? When you looked at that, she states that the farmers had to come out of the fields to work in the factories, and now it's almost the same case. Now we're going from one part of the factory to another, and robotics are taking our part in what that was. But we still have to support that. There still has to be something there. And this is where the American worker that you have in your factory can come back and still work for you in a different capacity. And we can help you try to transition that somewhere. Now, where do we come in as a group? So, AI Consulting, we're all black belts. So we all know the Lean Six Sigma process. We know how that implies. And we've already been looking at opportunities here. We looked at some bottlenecks that we found. We looked at a lot of waste. There's a lot of waste here that we think if we can reduce that as well and fix everything before the robots start, you're going to even have a lower bottom line that you have to worry about, so that these robots will not cost you overall as much as it may seem that we're going to need if we need 10,000 of them to be ordered immediately. So let's go ahead and look over what we talked about today and how this is going to impact us. So challenges facing the company is the first thing we looked at, and we looked at the financial distress because of those things that are impacting you and you've been okay with. And we want to change those things, obviously. Robotic solutions was the next thing that we looked at, and how that can really bridge the gap for your company and be the solution that you want from here on out. We also looked at keeping your employees on, since that was important to you in our conversations. We looked at a way that we can do that. Should you choose to do that yourself, we can make it happen. Now, to be very blunt, not having the robots here in your facilities will lead you down a path of failure. Your people, your bids, your companies, and all the people that have been loyal to doing business with you over time are going to go elsewhere. You're going to lose your business. We have to make this movement with robotics. We have to do this soon. In closing, Jeff Bernstein, the president of Robotics Industries Association, stated, as the technology behind robots is evolving, the number of tasks they are able to perform is increasing. Today more than ever, robots can handle complex tasks at fast speeds, leading to high productivity for customers. He believes, and so do we, that this is the next generation for your facility. You want it to be a Fortune 500 company, we can make it happen, and this is how we're going to do it. So after we're done here, let's go ahead and get on the phone, let's start making some calls, get some pricing for you, and start hopefully making this happen by next year. Thank you.